Hey, this is Antonio with Enhanced Movements, Boulder County's premier chiropractic pain and injury consultant. Today we're going to be talking about actually sciatic tensioners, okay? After injuries, we will oftentimes get restricted range of motion around joints, around nerves, anything that needs to be protected that might have been sensitized during our pain episode or injury, whatever that might have been. And with that, we see this kind of latent model of hindered range of motion or tension as a result of either those joints, muscles, and or sometimes nerves, meaning the nerve and the protective structures around the nerves that prevent it from being overstretched might be protecting too much and overguarding too much, where we actually need to create a little bit of tension in order to regain the amount of excursion and stretch that we want to see out of a particular nerve tract. So in this case, we're talking about the sciatic nerve. And in this example, we're using a position such as the downward facing dog, which creates this sharp angle around the hip where the sciatic nerve travels around. Now, what you can do is and what I encourage you to do is we're simply just playing around with tension. That tension you feel as you change bending ankles and knees might be not only hamstring and calf, but also that sciatic nerve tract. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to play around with head positioning as well as our heel and ankle positioning to create a little bit more tension, that kind of just brushing the edge of that kind of good stretch feeling, but not pushing it too far where you might exacerbate or create an issue. So I'm going to be in a downward dog position and kind of just demonstrate some of the things that we're talking about here. So if I'm in a down dog, right, hips are high, hands are splayed out. Now notice, right now I feel some tension in both hamstrings, and I can change that tension ever so slightly by lifting my head a little less. I felt it a little more, right? Because brain is attached to the spinal cord, attached to the nerves, down to the brain, spinal cord, nerves, sciatic nerve. Now from here, what I'm actually going to do, and I'm going to not talk right now because the mic's right in front of me, is I'm going to drop my head and then just play around with straightening and bending legs a little bit, okay? Now I'm also going to try to change that hip angle, right? Flatter hip angle, sharper hip angle. So here is where I actually feel things just a little more. Right? And then notice I can make that hip angle a little sharper. And I'm just trying to give just ever so slightly a little stretch. Now what commonly gets confused, and this is why it's a little bit harder, and this exercise definitely should be managed with your therapist, your chiropractor, your coach, whoever is helping you manage your pain, whether that be remotely with us or in person, is understanding what stretch is actually good stretch. I feel that stretch and then I back off right from there. There's no sense in us overstretching a nerve, even though that oftentimes gets confused as, oh my gosh, my hamstrings are so tight, I just really need to stretch them. And then we just start hanging on the sciatic nerve and that tension that we feel, thinking that we're doing a good thing. That can sometimes exacerbate the symptoms you have and or create symptoms in and of itself. So you gotta tread lightly when doing these exercises. So ask questions, take this, see if this is right. You can ask your providers or whoever's helping you manage this, see if it's right for you. And as always, you can reach out to us with your questions. We'd love to be able to help provide some assistance. Thanks for tuning in, guys.